Now, most of that footage for sure is going to end up in the trash, but that 2 seconds yesterday, that saved my Canadian bacon, and it might save yours too. Oh man, you know that feeling you get when you're tearing apart a piece of gear, whether it's vintage electronics or a kitchen appliance? That feeling that you've gone so far down the rabbit hole that you start freaking out and wondering, oh my goodness, am I ever going to be able to put this thing back together again? Yeah, that was me yesterday in this Revox A77 overhaul that I've been up to. I got myself, for the first time on this project, into some serious hot water. And this is something that I sort of expected. I mean, I've told everyone from the beginning that this project is like way over my head technically. Just like any overhaul, one of the smartest things you can do before you start is to take a ton of photos. And this was recommended to me by Peter at Revox in a big way. He said that no matter how many photos you take, it's probably not enough. When you think you've taken enough photos, take 10 more. Well, I took that advice to another level, and I just decided right at the beginning of this project that, yeah, I'm gonna take all kinds of photos, but I'm also gonna roll a video camera the entire time that I'm working on this thing. And yesterday, when I got myself into serious hot water, that video saved me. And it's such a big deal and something that I encourage anybody who's tearing apart a piece of gear, particularly something like this, where it's 45 years old and so many things can go wrong on that teardown. Oh yeah, yesterday I was saved by that video. I got up and decided to take on the most challenging part of this overhaul, which is the main motherboard or switchboard of the A77. The entire thing has to come out and get recapped and serviced basically and all cleaned up. You know, the procedure to overhaul that switchboard, by far the most complex thing that I've ever done in electronics. And there was a moment yesterday where I was literally going, oh man, is this thing ever gonna go back in this machine and work again? Yeah, I was well aware going into this project that as far as this Revox is concerned, I might as well be living on an island, and that if something major goes wrong in this restoration, that I'm probably gonna have to solve it all by myself. So rolling that video camera, absolute lifesaver. And this is something that I'm now gonna do every time I tear a piece of gear apart, whether it's a tape machine or my old Jimmy. Well, part of this motherboard is a very complex switching system that is physically connected to the power knob. Well, in order to thoroughly clean that switch, you have to partially disassemble the mechanism that connects it to the power knob. Well, I wasn't paying close enough attention. Yesterday, when I removed a circlip and took the little switch mechanism apart, something happened in that machine. And I didn't even hear what went down. So I knew I had made a mistake by taking that mechanism apart without thoroughly understanding exactly how it works. So after literally a couple of hours of just getting so frustrated trying to put this mechanism back together unsuccessfully, I took the best piece of advice that I've heard from Peter on this entire project. I took a break. I stopped what I was doing and I went for a walk. And when I came back to the studio, within 5 minutes, I had a solution. I didn't understand that the whole thing was under a load. In other words, there's a spring involved and the thing's all calibrated. So once I clearly understood what my issue was, the solution was simple, to just go back through all that video footage and find the exact moment that I took that switch apart. When I found that, I was able to see exactly how much that switch moved. And more importantly, what that switch was supposed to look like when it was under its load and in normal conditions. And I was able to stop and zoom right in on that. So it absolutely rescued me. Yeah, I was literally jumping up and down yesterday when I finally put this thing back together. Thank you very much for sitting in on today's session. And the next time you're working on a restoration of any kind, I encourage you to document the entire thing on video, in addition to taking all kinds of stills. You will never have enough documentation of a piece of equipment before you tear it apart. So far in this restoration, I've got over 17 hours of documented video of me tearing things apart and putting them back together. Now, most of that footage for sure is going to end up in the trash, but that 2 seconds yesterday, that saved my Canadian bacon, and it might save yours too.